Before we start our scary story, let's talk about the most terrifying fear of all, the fear of missing out. If you're not using Honeygain, you're missing the chance to earn money by doing nothing at all. What's Honeygain? It's an app that lets you rent out part of your internet connection. Just download the program, set it up on your device, and start getting paid. It won't let you quit your day job to become a ghost hunter, but it could cover your Hulu subscription or buy you a bone-chilling indie horror game every month. The more networks and devices you share, the more you earn. I know what you're thinking, but Honeygain won't snoop through your data. It uses just a little bit of your bandwidth to let companies test their apps, check for copyright violations, or find great deals around the web. You get paid for using your device like you normally would, while the app does its thing in the background. Honeygain's Lucky Pot even gives you a daily chance to win 10 extra bucks just for checking your dashboard. Sign up with the promo code MJV5 and get your first $5 the instant you install the app. Don't let this opportunity slip away and haunt you forever. Click the download link below and start making money with Honeygain. I don't know if I'll ever be happy again. I'm a 25-year-old single dad. My high school girlfriend Samantha and I had our baby in the very first year of our marriage. Our son Liam has autism, but I never treated him different. But unfortunately, his mother did. Samantha couldn't love him, and I still don't understand why. Because Liam always loved her. Whenever she came close to him, he stretched his loving arms just to be in her lap, but Samantha turned her face away in disgust. Our marriage didn't last. After a certain point, she wanted nothing to do with our son or me. She left me for some rich guy, but I was happy and proud to be Liam's father. He's a bundle of joy, and he means the world to me. Many of my relatives told me to remarry, as a dad isn't enough to raise a baby. But I wanted to prove them wrong. Parenthood doesn't depend on gender. It depends on love and care. Liam and I built our small world with joy. He would often look out the window and point to the neighborhood kids saying, "Dad, they say I'm different. Different, am I?" He repeated words due to his autism, but I always made him feel strong. I said, "Yes, they are right. You are different. You are more kind, joyful, and mostly strong than any of them. That's why you're different. Don't let anyone tell you less than that." And the smile on his face rose again, hearing this. Liam's brain had a slow development, so though he is 9, he behaves like a 5-year-old. I could see people noticing him whenever we were out, but I always kept my head high so that he realized that his dad was proud of him. Parents need to stand up for their kids, and I did exactly that for my son. Liam and I always went out for dinner every Friday night. He loved eating burgers, so Friday night was fast food night. Similarly, one Friday night, I drove him to the mall. After playing in the gaming section for almost 2 hours, we got hungry and decided to have some dinner. Liam wanted to have a burger, so I took him to Wendy's, 20 minutes from the mall right beside the highway. The restaurant was not as crowded as I expected. Liam and I sat down at a corner table. I took a quick look at the menu and then walked to the counter to place our order. A young Wendy's employee was standing behind the counter. He gave me a courteous smile and said, "Welcome to Wendy's. May I take your order, sir?" "Yeah. We'll have 2 grilled chicken cheeseburgers, 1 medium fry, and 2 Sprites." "Okay, please have a seat and I'll bring your order to you." "Thank you." After paying, I returned to my seat and noticed Liam staring at the exit with a smiling face. Generally, he smiles at every passerby, so I thought he must have seen someone outside. However, I didn't see anyone outside. I talked to him about how much fun we had when Liam looked over my shoulder, ignoring me. The shop bell rang, and I heard footsteps behind us. Turning around, I saw a woman in her late 40s entering the restaurant. Everything would have been entirely normal if she didn't dress like the red-headed girl in the Wendy's logo. She wore 2 ponytails and had excessive makeup to look like a kid, which backfired. Instead of looking innocent, she looked creepy. Her eyes were light green, making it even more bizarre when she smiled at us. "The Wendy's girl. Look, Dad, Wendy's girl." Yeah, she looked somewhat close to that. "She's real. Real she is. Right?" I got weird vibes from this woman the moment she entered this place. The guy behind the counter also seemed uncomfortable having this out-of-place customer. The 2 to 3 people eating there started to whisper among themselves about her unusual appearance. Needless to say, none of them were used to seeing what they were seeing. Meanwhile, the food came, and Liam's attention shifted from her. I also concentrated on my food. I just wanted to finish early so we could go home. Why are you laughing, Liam? The spoon on her nose. Her nose looks funny. I looked at the woman, and she was doing some kiddish stunt to make my son laugh sitting at the corner table. She stuck a plastic spoon on her nose and made funny faces, which looked quite disturbing. But she wasn't doing anything wrong, so I couldn't confront her about her behavior at the moment. We were almost done eating when the woman walked up to our table. "What's your name? Is it Mr. Smiley Face?" "Liam. I'm Liam." The woman completely ignored me and started to talk to my son like I wasn't even there. "Do you like my hairstyle, Liam? You're funny." "Funny. So, where do you live?" "Excuse me, do you mind?" "Liam, where do you live?" I was stunned by her audacity. Even as I asked her to back off, she wasn't budging. The woman raised her dirt-filled, bony fingers and went to caress Liam's cheek. I slapped her hand and said, "Whoa, back off from my son." "You're a rude father. I was just trying to play with him." "Well, just leave us alone, or I'll have to take some serious steps." "Is there a problem here, sir?" The Wendy's employee came too, and I told him how weird this woman was. The employee apologized on her behalf. He told the woman to either sit and eat quietly or leave the restaurant at once. Hearing this, the woman's eyes widened in fury, and she said to the employee in her shrill voice, "What? You can't throw me out of here. I'm the Wendy's girl. Can't you recognize me?" "Ma'am, please go take your seat. You're making everyone uncomfortable here." "Shut up, you peasant. Go to hell with your restaurant." The woman insulted the employee and did something even more hateful after that. She walked up to her table, spat on her food, and bumped the table on the floor. Creating a big scene, she left the restaurant. What a psycho. You should call the police and report her. I will. We have CCTV for a reason. The employee went to call the cops, and I left the restaurant with Liam. We sat inside our car and drove home. The neighborhood we live in is still under construction, so very few houses had residences. After sundown, it felt like an abandoned village. I was unlocking the door while Liam stood beside me. What is it now, Liam? I asked without looking at him. She's making faces again. What are you saying? The Wendy's girl. My stomach dropped as soon as Liam said this. I felt my hands getting numb. She has a knife, like the one in our kitchen. I immediately turned back and saw that freaky woman dressed like the Wendy's girl was now running at me at full speed, holding a big sharp knife in her hand. There was hatred in her eyes and anger on her face, but her creepy smile still retained. She looked like the Wendy's girl from hell. I started to panic as I had no weapon to protect my kid or myself from this psycho woman. I prayed to God for the door to unlock somehow. It was the easiest task of my day, but that moment, it felt like the most challenging job I was compelled to do. Her crazy chuckle was coming closer, and when she was a few inches away from striking me, I managed to open the door and drag Liam in with me. But even though I got in, Liam got stuck in between as the psycho woman grabbed his other hand. "I like this kid. Let him go, you witch." I tried to free my son's hand from her grasp, and she stabbed me in the arm. Writhing in pain, I let go of Liam's hand out of reflex, and the woman picked him up and started to run. The knife was stuck in my flesh. I was bleeding horribly, but I still got up and took the knife out. Piercing my veins, the knife came out, spilling blood like a horror movie. "Dad! Dad!" I heard Liam's cry and watched the lady running down the road abducting my son. I ran like a cheetah. I forgot about my wound. All I wanted was to save Liam. She might be one sick psycho, but she wasn't faster than me. I caught up with her, grabbed her red hair, and pulled her so hard that a patch of her bloody scalp came out. She screamed in terrible pain and dropped Liam on the hard concrete. Liam's head hit the ground, and while I was busy picking him up, the lady ran away. It's been a week since my son has been in a coma. The Wendy's guy has filed a complaint about this woman, and I too have been to the cops. They're searching everywhere for her, but still no lead. I'm pretty sure it'll be hard to recognize her without the Wendy's girl costume. Day and night, I'm praying for my son to wake up and that psycho woman to get arrested for what she did. I was far too drunk to be driving as fast as I was going. Truth be told, I was probably too drunk to even sit in a parked car without all the windows open, but I had places to be, so I kept the pedal down. Route 50 was light on traffic, maybe because it was December, perhaps it was 3 a.m. Either way, the few cars I did encounter were easy enough to pass, and I started to feel like a toddler struggling to stay inside the lines with every swerve. It was hot for December, so I did have my window down. My headlights were blinking in and out. I get them fixed eventually, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month. In that flickering light, I saw a deer sprint out from the trees at the shoulder of the road, then across the highway. Another swerve and another near miss. My heart was in my throat, but I felt good. My buzz was still roaring. There was a bright patch ahead on the highway. My vision was a little blurry, but it was clearly a town. My stomach cramped and rumbled. I was starving. I saw a speed limit sign on the shoulder for 50 miles per hour. Grinning, I sped up until the needle was pushing 75. Buildings began whipping by me on either side of the Camaro. Blue and fast. I loved my car more than any woman I'd ever met. There weren't many people out at 3 a.m., but I tried to at least keep a lookout for cops hidden in alleys. When I saw the Taco Bell approaching on my left, I slammed on the brakes and spun the wheel hard towards the building. There was one bad moment where my fuzzy brain mixed up the pedal and the brake. I sorted it out and screeched to a halt a few spaces in the parking lot. I climbed out of the car and stretched. The drive-thru would have been faster, but I desperately needed to take a leak and drain the bladder full of bourbon and Red Bull. The Taco Bell was lit up with a soft white lighting. It looked empty, but open. I pushed the glass door and grinned when a little bell rang above me. My smile dropped as I noticed the two workers behind the counter. The guy was tall, looked to be in his early 30s, and had a busted-up face like he just walked in from a fight club behind the restaurant. Nasty purple and yellow bruises covered his cheeks, sat under his eyes, and peeked out from his collar. He must have been covered in them under his uniform. The girl next to him was both more or less off-putting. She appeared to be the same age, much shorter, pretty in a hollow way with her blonde hair and black glasses. There was no visible damage on her, but a dark stain soaked the bottom half of her shirt. It was a reddish brown, maybe some kind of sauce. Hopefully, some kind of sauce. "You okay?" I asked her, walking towards the counter. The girl didn't reply, didn't even look at me. The young dude next to her picked at a shallow cut next to his ear. "What can I get you?" he asked. I blinked and tried to shake some of the fermentation of my brain. Tacos. Yes, sir. This would be the place for that. What kind? How many? 5 chicken, 5 beef. One of those crunch wrap things. Nachos, some cinnamon twists. Oh, and a Diet Coke. Oh, and as much Diablo sauce as you can give me. Is that all? I put a hand down on the counter to steady myself. Yeah, and I need to take a leak. Bathroom's back there, the guy said, pointing to a pair of doors in the corner. I turned away from the counter, took a step towards the restroom, and then stopped. Now that I had a full view of the dining area, I saw that people were sitting at one of the tables. They weren't there when I walked in. I was positive of that. Maybe they entered while I was ordering, but I didn't hear the bell above the door ring. It was like they just appeared. I counted 3 men and a woman, all different ages, all equally awful looking. It was like they were sick, pale and bloodless, with ringed, sleepless eyes. One of the guys had a red-brown stain just like the girl at the counter, only his covered the back of his shirt. They all watched me silently as I walked past them towards the bathroom. I only tripped once. I was pretty proud of that. While the rest of the Taco Bell was relatively clean and well lit, the bathroom looked like I might catch a disease just by taking a deep breath. The floor was dirty. The walls were stained. The lights flickered, and it smelled vile. One of the 2 stalls didn't have a door. The other did, but was occupied. A pair of ragged cowboy boots visible under the wall. Whatever. There was an open urinal, and that was all I needed. It was disgusting and clogged, but I did what I needed to do and went to wash my hands. While I was cleaning up, I took a look at my reflection in the mirror. It was wrong. I mean, it was me, but my face was as pale as the weirdos in the dining room. There was an angry red cut above my eye on my forehead. I reached up to touch it and felt something prick my finger. I jerked my hand away, then went back to probe around gently. There was a small triangle of glass sticking in the cut. I pulled it out and dropped it into the sink, hands shaking as I turned on the water. There was a loud bang from behind me. I whirled around in time to see the door of the occupied stall shake. It was like the guy inside was slamming into it. "You okay, buddy?" I called out, feeling a lot sober than I had in hours. "Are you?" The door shook again, louder than before. There was a strange, quiet wailing sound coming out of the stall. It grew to some halfway growl, halfway scream. I turned away, closing my eyes. I must have hit my head at some point. I was imagining things, or... I opened my eyes to find the mirror in front of me completely fogged. As I watched, something invisible dragged against the mirror, drawing a shape or letters in the fog. I didn't stick around to find out what the message was. I left the bathroom running. Once I busted out the door, though, I was stopped so quickly I tripped. The dining room was packed, and the people at the tables and in the booths looked like they'd been dragged out of the local morgue. Men and women, a few teenagers and old folks. They were all in various stages of decomposition. I saw missing limbs, exposed ribs, one so raw I could see a gray sack of unmoving lung through it, cuts and holes, and everywhere, that red-brown stain. The interior of the restaurant didn't look so clean anymore either. Now it resembled the bathroom, with mold in the corners and a thick white-green fluid in puddles on the floor. Everything reeked. I couldn't tell if it was the decaying people or the dirty room, but the smell was like a physical force scorching my throat and eyes and twisting my stomach. "Your order, bud," a voice said behind me. I turned and saw the guy from the counter, carrying a tray of full rotting food. The tacos were covered in a fuzzy mold, and the rest of the pile was alive with a squirming knot of glossy white maggots. I slapped the tray and stumbled back, then ran for the door. The little bell from earlier was now a rusted lump. I pressed against the bar repeatedly, but the door wouldn't open. The dead things behind me were laughing, soft at first, then hysterical, as I slammed my shoulder into the glass so hard I bounced off. Their laughter became a buzz, like flies over summer roadkill. "The door's locked," I heard the man from the counter say. "You can't leave." "The hell I can't," I growled, standing up. I felt something grab me and press my face against the glass door. I did. Then I began to sob. In the orange sodium glow of the parking lot lamps, I saw my Camaro. It was destroyed, wrapped halfway around a street light. It was no longer a car, only a lump of metal and broken glass. What I saw lying in the parking lot was worse, though. A man, just my size, dressed like me, crumpled like a doll, dropped from high, soaking in a pool of blood. I had been thrown through the front windshield during the crash. That moment when I accidentally hit the pedal instead of the brake. What if I'd actually kept on the pedal? Heck of a way to die, I heard the counterman whisper. "You shouldn't drive drunk, buddy. Too easy for people to get hurt. Thank God this looks like a one-car crash. A single fatality. Now, go grab a uniform from the back. You're going to be working here for a very, very long time." "No," I said, pulling back. "This isn't real. This isn't fair. I have to leave." The man's grin turned into a snarl. He slapped me, hard and quick, then hit me again, this time with an open fist. I stumbled back into the front door. The short girl that was behind the counter when I came in hit me next. She grabbed at my collar and scratched my neck. Someone else slammed into me from the side, and then I was on the ground. Figures crowded around me, dead legs kicking my ribs, stomping me, grinding me into the tile. Blows fell on me like hail on a window. I begged and screamed and whimpered, but they kept hitting me. Eventually, the dead pulled back. I stood up, bruised and ruined, and decided to take my chance. I ran at the locked door, arms in front of my face to protect my eyes. I jumped and felt the glass break, and I woke up on the pavement, feeling like every bone in my body was broken. I groaned, spitting out a tooth. Someone was standing over me. I flinched when they leaned down. "Easy, buddy," a voice said. I called 911. They'll be here soon. I blacked out and woke up much later in a hospital bed. The doctors told me that I was lucky to be alive after the crash and being ejected through the front windshield of my Camaro. My injuries from the accident were severe, but not fatal. A broken arm, 4 busted ribs, a concussion, 2 lost teeth and another cracked, as well as every inch of me covered in road burns and deep bruises. Since it was a DUI, I wouldn't be driving anytime soon and could face fines, maybe even jail time. I accept that. Whatever the consequences, I know that I am truly lucky. I escaped hell.